You sign in at the front, and of course, writing down your name and what agency or private citizen. If it comes to public comment, please sign in under the public comment. There's a form out there for you, and we will be calling from that list as well. Also, with regard to if you have or would like to submit written comment, there is a form out there on the desk, the front, for you to fill out or bring back to our office at BECQ or even the governor's office. So once again, please make sure you're signed in, as well as signed in if you're giving public comment. And we will begin in a few more minutes. Good evening, everybody. I wanted to, before we begin, of course, a little logistics here. We have the restrooms on both sides of the door, the female and male. Also, once again, if you have not signed in, please sign in with regard to your attendance. And this is for the record. This meeting is being recorded, as well as that if you are providing public comment, please sign in as well. And when you do provide public comments, please come up, state your name, who do you represent, either a private citizen, an organization, and so forth. And with that, how many of you guys want to start? Raise your hand. Yay. Okay. So, sorry. I'm so used to the FR meetings where you have to be bilingual. Okay, so my name is Floyd Mosca. I'm the administrator for BECQ. On behalf of the Office of the Governor, I would like to welcome everyone to tonight's town hall meeting. The focus of this evening's discussion is the Bureau's Ocean Energy Management, BOEM, Request for Information, RFI, regarding the potential leasing of the outer shelf, continental shelf, specifically as it relates to underwater seabed mining. We would also like to inform the public that the deadline to submit comments for the RFI has been extended to January 12, 2026, allowing additional time for our community to review the information and provide input. Before I begin, I would like to call upon the Governor's Representative Chief of Staff, Mr. Henry Hofschneider. Please welcome him.
This is Marcy Floyd. Thank you. Good evening. Governor Apatang is tied up right now. He is still in the office since early this morning. We had several meetings this morning. And he's still sitting behind his desk meeting. We're trying to finalize the revised budget for FY 2026. That's his baby. He won't leave the office until it's all done. Hopefully we'll get a new revised budget soon. If not, tonight, maybe early Monday morning. So he asked that you excused him. He would have loved to be here to talk to all of you about what's going on. You've heard, you've read, and maybe you've participated in a forum. I know the Northern Marianas College did a presentation a few weeks back on the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management plan to, at the end of a long process, and it's going to be a long process, sell a lease to a company to mine deep sea critical minerals. And that's moving forward. The BOEM, as we call them now, is at the stage of requesting information and interest. The interest is the one that concerns us, but that's what we need to do. Just be on the lookout, listen to what's going on by companies that want to mine critical minerals in the U.S. exclusive economic zone, and that's like 200 miles offshore from our territorial waters. We have 3 miles out from shoreline. Beyond that is the U.S. EEZ. There's been a lot of surveys conducted by the U.S. Geological Survey or services out in the deep waters, and they found sources of hard minerals, and they're crucial to building the nation's defense infrastructure. President Trump signed Executive Order 14285, that's unleashing the offshore critical minerals. And his purpose is to build the U.S. Supply of critical minerals for infrastructure, defense purposes. So it's moving. We've asked the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management to extend the November 12th publication of the RFI. We got 30 days, and we have up to January 12th to submit comments. That request was submitted by our governor and the governor of Guam on November 15th. On December 17th, a few weeks or a couple of days ago, the governor of Guam and our governor submitted another request to BOEM to extend the comment period before it lapses in January for another 120 days. And in addition to compel BOEM to come out to Guam and the CNMI to have a village engagement like what we're having now. Floyd and I have been engaged with BOEM, regularly with BOEM in our monthly call-in, and BOEM has indicated its intent to come out, but their plan is to come out after the January 12 comment period. We've encouraged them to come out before the comment period ends. So that's where we're at. The purpose of this town hall meeting is to ask each and every one of you to let us know. Submit your comments, written comments. Are we recording this town hall meeting? And maybe we'll submit a recording of this town hall meeting to BOEM. So please say whatever you want. If you're against mining, deep seabed mining, say it. If you're for it, say it. If you're not sure and you want more studies, more research, more outreach, say it. We'll get there. January 12th is just around the corner, and we'll continue to reach out. Governor Apatang has reached out to the Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Office of Insular Affairs, Mr. Bill Hague, to encourage BOEM. They're in the same department, the Department of the Interior, to extend the comment period for another 120 days from January 12th. Mr. Hague said he'll look into it. Mr. Hague has plans to come out too in January to join BOEM in our public forums here. We're going to have public town hall meetings after this. Right here, we plan a couple here in Saipan. We're going to move to Rota and Tinian after the holidays, I think sometime in January, when BOEM comes out with Mr. Hague and his team. We'll do the same. We'll reach out to everybody and let you know. So we'll have this opportunity again with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. So before we begin, I would like to set the ground rules with regard to our meeting tonight. And in any meetings that we've had, we've always been a people of respect and civility. We want to give others the time to talk. We want to give everybody the respect with regard to their perspective. One speaker at a time. We will have individuals going around that will be holding mics. We would like for you to talk into the mic so we can have this on the record. We would also like to have you state your name clearly for the record. And yes, please stay on topic. We are here for this RFI. We are not here to discuss any other issues. So please stay on topic. Remember, attack the problem, focus on the problem, not the person. Offer solutions. that could be with regard to your comments as well. And of course, silence your devices. Put it on silent mode, please. And again, keep in mind, I will be requesting after the video presentation by BOEM, specifically created for the CNMI, the list with regard to who will be providing comments. So depending on the size of that list, I want to say between 3 to 5 minutes. And again, after those that have signed up for public comments, we will open it up to the floor as well, following the same rules, of course. So without further ado, I would like to have our staff from DCRM and DEQ, and even some from Fish and Wildlife that are here, and Attorney General's office as well. Go ahead and play the video.
Half a day, and Tiro. My name is Natalie Dial. I am a leasing specialist with the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, or BOEM's Pacific region. This presentation is on the Outer Continental Shelf, or OCS, mineral leasing process in the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. In this presentation, I will provide an overview of BOEM's role in managing resources on the OCS, an overview of the OCS mineral lease sale process, and an update on where we are in the process with the current Request for Information and Interest, or RFI, in the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. BOEM's mission is to manage the development of energy, mineral, and geological resources on nearly 3.2 billion acres of the U.S. Outer Continental Shelf in an environmentally and economically responsible way. BOEM is one of 11 bureaus within the U.S. Department of the Interior and has 3 regional offices. BOEM's Pacific OCS Regional Office, located in Camarillo, California, is responsible for managing energy and mineral resources on all submerged federal lands lying beneath the ocean within the U.S. Exclusive Economic Zone, or EEZ, beyond coastal waters off California, Oregon, Washington, and Hawaii, which includes 3 miles from the coastline to approximately 200 miles offshore, as well as submerged federal lands within the EEZ adjacent to all U.S. territories, which was included in the definition of the OCS in the Outer Continental Shelf Lands Act and the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. Let's first take a moment to look at this map of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, along with the other Pacific Islands. The U.S. mainland is located in the top right-hand corner, and the dark blue shaded areas surrounding each of the states and Pacific territories identifies the Outer Continental Shelf areas. National marine sanctuaries, monuments, and wildlife refuges are the dark shaded areas in red. The light yellow areas indicate areas of cobalt-rich ferromanganese crust, and the light blue areas indicate potential areas of polymetallic nodules. The overlapping darker yellow areas indicate potential areas of both crust and nodules. What this map represents are areas where both oceanographic and geologic information, including seafloor morphology, such as seamounts and ridges or abyssal plains, indicate where crust and nodules are likely to occur. While this map identifies areas with minerals potential, it does not necessarily indicate whether minerals have been found there. BOEM continues to work closely with the United States Geological Survey, or USGS, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, and other partners to advance the understanding and assessment of critical minerals in the Pacific OCS. USGS and NOAA continue to support BOEM by providing the latest scientific data on critical mineral resources, as well as potential environmental impacts and hazards associated with seafloor development. OCS minerals refer to mineral resources located on the seabed and in the subsoil of the continental shelf beyond the 3 nautical mile limit of state and territorial jurisdiction. This presentation focuses on non-energy marine minerals, minerals other than oil, gas, and sulfur. These seabed minerals may contain critical minerals. Critical minerals include nickel, cobalt, lithium, manganese, and rare earth elements. These resources are vital to the nation's energy, technology, and defense needs. The Department of the Interior recently updated the list in November of 2025. The list now includes 60 critical minerals that have been identified as essential resources that power our economy, strengthen our national defense, and support emerging technologies. This diagram shows different types of seabed mineral deposits where critical minerals may be found. Phosphorites and heavy mineral sands can occur near shore, and polymetallic sulfide deposits can occur in water depths from 100 to 7,000 meters, or about 300 to 23,000 feet deep. In the Western Pacific OCS, we are primarily discussing the potential for polymetallic nodules, which are potato-shaped nodules that occur on soft sediments of abyssal plains at depths of 3,500 to 6,000 meters or 11,000 to 20,000 feet, as well as cobalt-rich ferromanganese crusts that form on the sides and summits of seamounts and ridges at depths of 400 to 7,000 meters or 1,300 to 23,000 feet deep. BOEM has the authority to administer a leasing program for minerals other than oil, gas, and sulfur in the OCS, where many of these minerals can be found. Some of you may be aware, a separate OCS mineral leasing process for areas offshore American Samoa is underway. For the leasing process for minerals offshore the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, the first step was the publication of a Request for Information and Interest, or RFI, and we are currently in an open comment period. Once the comment period closes, BOEM will analyze the recommendations, comments, and information we have received from the RFI. As demonstrated in this process flow chart, the next two steps would include the identification of areas to be considered for leasing and a National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA, review of the areas identified. The size of areas identified is intended to be sufficiently large enough to include potentially mineable mineral ore bodies. Based on area identification and NEPA review, if the decision is to move forward, the next step would be the issuance of a proposed leasing notice, which would be published in the Federal Register. This notice, which includes a public comment period, would outline proposed sale procedures, stipulations, payments, and other terms and conditions that might be prescribed in a lease. After considering comments submitted on the proposed leasing notice, the next step would then be to issue a leasing notice that would include a description of the areas and minerals to be offered for lease, as well as the bidding mechanism, auction details, and lease terms and conditions. If all these steps were to happen, a competitive OCS mineral lease sale under the specified terms and conditions of the leasing notice would be held. Throughout the process, there would be opportunities for territorial government and community engagement and comments. The activities under an executed lease and the additional approvals for subsequent activities are described in the next slide. So moving beyond the lease sale and an executed lease, a lessee would only be authorized to conduct preliminary activities on its lease, which include performing bathymetric, geological, geophysical mapping, and other surveys necessary to develop a comprehensive delineation, testing, and/or mining plans, as well as submitting plans to conduct delineation, testing, or mining activities for technical and environmental reviews by BOEM. Lessees are required to submit a mining plan for review prior to conducting mining activities under their lease. The mining plan may include proposed delineation or testing activities. A lessee may also decide to submit a delineation plan and/or testing plan before submitting a mining plan if those activities are needed to obtain additional data and information to develop their mining plan. It is important to note that the lessee must receive approval from BOEM prior to conducting the delineation, testing, and mining activities described in their plan or plans. So again, what are the various plans a lessee could submit to BOEM? Delineation plans describe the activities to locate minerals and quantify and qualify minerals. Testing plans describe feasibility studies, pilot programs to evaluate processing techniques and technology, and activities to determine environmental effects. And a mining plan describes proposed mineral development, production, and processing activities. The mining plan includes detailed technical and engineering information and would cover all mineral development and production activities. The mining plan would include comprehensive detailed descriptions, illustrations, and explanations of the proposed OCS mineral development, production, and processing activities, and accurately present the lessee's proposed plan of operation. The Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands is at the very beginning of the process with the publication of a Request for Information and Interest in the Federal Register. This notice was published on November 12th, and we are seeking information on and interest in the RFI area. BOEM is particularly interested in obtaining information regarding industry interest, geologic conditions, potential environmental and cultural impacts, and the multiple uses of the area such as navigation and fishing. In Section 6 of the RFI, there is particularly helpful information on the types of information and comments we are seeking. For example, we are seeking information on socioeconomic, biological, and environmental information in the RFI area or analogous sites for comparative analysis, potential impacts of leasing and mining activities to these resources, and methods to eliminate, mitigate, or monitor these impacts. Another example that BOEM is seeking information on is any information regarding commercial, indigenous, and recreational fisheries, including but not limited to the use of areas, the fishing gear types used, seasonal use, and recommendations for reducing use conflicts. The RFI area is located east of the Mariana Trench National Monument on the eastern edge of the OCS. The public comment period was extended for a total of 60 days to January 12, 2026. Therefore, BOEM must receive all comments, information, and indications of interest in response to this RFI no later than January 12, 2026. Written comments may be submitted electronically using regulations.gov, docket number BOEM-2025-0351, or by mail. Additional information on how to submit comments and access the request for information and interest can be found at www.boem.gov/CNMI. Commenters should be as specific and detailed as possible to help BOEM understand and address the comments. All information provided to BOEM will be considered in the decision whether to proceed with additional steps leading to the offering of OCS minerals for lease. BOEM will continue to engage with the CNMI as part of our ongoing efforts to strengthen relationships and ensure transparency in our planning process. As part of our engagement, BOEM will continue to discuss the comments we received during the RFI comment period with the CNMI and collaborate on next steps. Our intent is to be transparent, collaborative, and mindful throughout the process, and we welcome your comments on the RFI and input on how we can make our engagement as meaningful as possible. Again, my name is Natalie Dial. Please feel free to reach out. We appreciate this opportunity to share this with you. Sizu Maasi, Heliso. Thank you.
All right, before we begin with the public comment, I just wanted to add that if you picked up the handouts in the front desk there, you'll have the link provided to this video as well. So at any time you could open it up and review it. It also leads on to BOEM's website with regard to the Marianas. So there are some additional information that's illustrated on their website. So please make sure you pick up a copy if you have not. Now, before we begin once more again, I'll be calling those individuals that have signed up for public comment. Again, the comments will be recorded, the comments will be provided, the comments will be submitted to the BOEM website as well, to be clear about that. So, again, respect with regard to each other, be considerate of the time, be considerate to the individuals that are in the room as well. And if we do have more time, we will go and ask others if they wish to provide more public comment. Okay, so raise your hand after we call up the individuals that have signed up, and the mic can come to you. So I would like to call upon Mr. or Captain Cecilio Rogayo Pupi for the first public comment. Please raise your hand so the individual with the mic will come to you.
Hello, my name is Cecilio Raikulupi. I live here in Saipan. My wife is from Tinian. And my concern about this mining is about the traditional navigation area where they plan to mine, because there's a term in our navigation that we call it EPAR. We're using fish, whales, dolphins, turtles, birds on the water, and if they mine in that area, it will affect all the natural stuff that we use out there in open water. And then the second thing is for my fishing friends. I'm also a fisherman here. If we have this mining, if it affects our fishing resources, will this company help our fishermen and our fishing community and our fish markets? And then my last one is, you guys mentioned that this stuff, these minerals, they will use it for our national security. So if they mine it and then they're gonna go bomb another place, I thought we're about peace in this world. You know, we don't want to be part of something that will destroy other countries in the world and destroy our natural resources and environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Cecilio. Our next public comment will be from Mr. Henry Fendel.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. My name is Henry Fandel. I am representing CNMI, Division of Fish and Wildlife, right now. I am the Wildlife Section Supervisor, or the Section Head for the Wildlife Section, which is just one. Excuse me. Thanks. Which is just one portion of the division. My job is to focus on terrestrial resources here in the CNMI to ensure that we are monitoring and managing all the terrestrial resources in the best interest of the public. The natural resources in the CNMI are considered a public good, and so I take very seriously the responsibility that my office serves to the Commonwealth. I find myself in a position where I want to speak about potential consequences or concerns that CNMI, Division of Fish and Wildlife, is tracking. However, not everybody here present in the room may be aware of the technology or the approach to deep sea mining that I've come to learn about, both through reading literature, but also through attending the public forum that was hosted by NMC a few weeks ago. One of the ways in which the minerals are extracted off the seafloor is by running essentially a big vacuum cleaner across the seafloor, right? And piping up all this material that is sucked up, including the polymetallic nodules, into a ship, processed on the ship, and then there's this effluent plume, stuff that is not desirable for extracting minerals from, that's sent back down into the ocean. Oh, all right, I'm on a timer, 3 minutes. I haven't even gotten to the good stuff yet. So there's two things that happen. There's this vacuum on the bottom, and then there's also this plume of debris that gets essentially tossed away. And so both of those processes involve creating big plumes of sediment and dust. And it's very unclear right now what the consequences of those plumes are. It's unclear where they go. It's unclear what the impact will be on the marine environment. But remember, I'm a terrestrial biologist, right? I work for the wildlife section. And so the thing that I'm thinking a lot about is the way that our marine environment and our terrestrial environment are connected. When we approach conservation in the CNMI, it's very common for people to think about ridge to reef, or this like holistic picture of how to manage resources, or how to improve our natural environment. There's a long-standing project on Rhoda where there's, Talakaza watershed. There's a lot of erosion because of forest fires, and the erosion on land creates sediment that gets distributed down into the reef and suffocates the reef and affects reef resiliency and our fisheries, right? And so there are other ways that the ocean and the land are connected, and I I know I'm preaching to the choir here because from a cultural standpoint, there are many ways in which people are familiar with this connection through their daily lives, whether it be fishing, watching where the birds go and following the birds, or navigating, following birds back to land. But seabirds serve this function. They are going out very, very long distances. One more minute. Again, here we go. I'm just getting the good stuff. Going very far distances out, away from land. The luau, red-footed booby, can forage up to 100 miles away from the coast before it comes back down to its back to land where it lives in its colony, bringing those nutrients back from the ocean to the land, depositing them on land. And when they come back, that nutrient transfer, that nutrient cycle has massive benefits to the resiliency of our reef, the biomass of our fisheries, the number of fish, how big the fish get. And so one of the things we're tracking at the wildlife section is the cutting edge research on where, basically what the impacts might be to seabirds and their foraging grounds, where these plumes go and how they affect prey populations for seabirds that might affect or create downstream impacts for our fisheries, for our reefs, and for our everyday engagement with our wildlife here in the CNMI. That's all I got time for, but CNMI Division of Fish and Wildlife, agnostic with regards to for or against this, but we are doing lots of work to track cutting edge research and also beginning to plan projects ourselves to tag seabirds and find out where our birds go to forage to see if they will be impacted by this type of activity. Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. The next comment will be from June Coleman. Please raise your hand.
Hafadez and Turuami. My name is June Coleman. I'm a direct descendant of our islands here, as well as Samoa and Hawaii. And I strongly would have to oppose deep sea mining for the fact that, looking at what the experts are saying, over in Norway, they have already put a pause on any type of leasing of areas to be mined. And that goes to show a lot, because Norway is one of the leaders in the world for ethical environmental safety and concern for future, as well as culture and heritage. And just going off of what Cecilio said, many of you have probably never been out to these areas, and I had the, blessed to have gone through these places. And these are unexplored ecosystems. It's a very diverse place, a very special place, a very unique place. In fact, when I was out on the water with Cecilio, I thought I was seeing things, because I actually said a prayer. And in that prayer, I asked for a sign. And God gave me a sign. It was these two orange, copper-colored whales. And I was like, I'm seeing things. It's just like, what is this? And I later found out that these are known as the Cuvier white-beaked whale. And guess where they hunt and live? Right in our waters. And they're the deepest divers of any whale on the planet. They go down to 17,000 feet. I think that was around the area where they're looking at mining. So we got to be the voice for those animals, those creatures, and these ecosystems, because our ancestors have been here for thousands of years in these waters, and they've developed some of the most diverse. We have the most coral species of any place in the U.S. Many of you might not have known that. But in order for those things to thrive and for our environment to be healthy and for our people to be healthy, we got to be good caretakers of it. We cannot look at short gains, but we got to look into the bigger countries who are also dealing with these kind of things, and they're very cautious. They put a moratorium or a pause on it till, I think, 2029. So they're even not rushing into it. So we shouldn't be in that position to rush into things, because we all know when we go further green, sometimes it doesn't result in the benefit for all. Only few benefit from it, and it's at the cost of our own island history, heritage, and future. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Our next public comment is from Joseph Connolly. Please raise your hand so the mic can come to you.
Oh, sure, no problem. Buenos and saludos todos amzo. Wasi Pepe Batbun, Joey Conley, Maestro Tinians and Saipan since 1984. I have some written comments here, but I really appreciate the papers because they answered a lot of questions that I have. And looking at them and watching that video, I note that, I hope all of you have them, that the RFI area is quite a ways from Saipan, and perhaps to the east of the Marianas Trench. And I would ask the person from our Fish and Wildlife, where does that flume flow? In what direction? The Japanese current, generally speaking, as far as I know, flows to the north. So would that lead the disturbed seabed floor, would that lead that in a northerly direction and be less detrimental? I don't expect you to know that, but wouldn't that lead it away from us? I speak from having lived on a small island in Alaska in the Alexander Archipelago, where I did work with geological exploration in an ultramafic complex, looking for molybdenum and high-grade nickel sulfides. And I'm well aware of the concerns of the terrestrial aspects of the effluent flowing from the mountains, from disturbance in the mountains, down into the sea. For the two main industries there were logging, because it's, and fishing. 3 or 4 types of fishing: trolling, gill netting, and seining. But there was some small commercial fishing. So this is fantastic, and I appreciate and commend all those who have made this happen again and repeat. My references, I had a couple pages here, are basically that my concern is more. I was in Japan for the past 3 weeks, and I missed the NMC thing. I'm interested in volcanic activity, aside from poetry and being a retired teacher. So there's a lot of high basaltic columns up there, as there are if any of you have ever been in Pohnpei. Nan Madol was basically constructed of basaltic columns and volcanic things. They're hexagonal and they're absolutely gorgeous, and so is Nan Madol. Nan Madol is one of the most not unexplored, but unappreciated buildings of ancient structures in the world, as far as I'm concerned. And there's a lot of it up along with northern, in a large national park in northern Japan called Daisetsu-zan in Sunkyo. So basically, I don't have much more to say other than that I would continue. I'm really relieved to see and read what BOEM has put out here. My personal opinions about it, I'm for anything that works to bring money in. I can't see, however, knowing absolutely zero about economics, I can't see how it's the placement of bed sea mining at this, with my limited knowledge, would be detrimental to the CNMI, or let alone even bring any income in here from it. They offered 1%, if I'm not mistaken, in the paper. And I immediately wrote back on something online, how about 33%? if they're going to be there regardless, because it may be because of their location that we have nothing to say about it regardless. I don't know. I'd love somebody to make comment about that. That they can begin it and do it regardless of what we have to say. And I'd really like to hear some opinions from people here about that. And you may remember, I'll cut it now, but just to be succinct, one of the things that POTUS 47 brought up with Ukraine immediately was rare earth minerals. And I would assume that some of these, molybdenum and some of the other minerals, nickel sulfides, might be involved in that. And so I would leave you with the question mark is, let's find out more. I want education, education, education on it for the entire CNMI and the world in general. I have 2 poems also, but maybe I'd do that afterwards, that are dealing with Earth Day and the ocean and the earth in general, as far as man's destruction of it and construction of it with utilization of both land and sea over the past several centuries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. Moving forward, please hold the mic closer, speak loudly so everybody can hear, as well as that it's on the record, so during the transcription we'll have that information. The next public comment is from Ian Thompson. Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'm a temporary visitor to these islands. I've lived here for almost 6 years, and I love them dearly already. I'm concerned about how this is happening. I don't know for sure. There's been very little talk, no talk at all on potential consequences or any kind of impact. This is just, here's how we submit these comments. I don't even understand what these comments are good for, if anyone will listen to them or care about them. But this is brand new technology. This is a brand new technological approach that has just come into use in the last 10 years, and already we're hearing hints in the media and in scientific journals about potential impacts that some countries are already putting a pause now that it's started. So I think the speed that this is happening, and also the way it's happening, the short comment period, not notifying the CNMI right away when this was happening or giving us any heads up, the fact that even now, after the initial comment period ended, if we hadn't got that extension, it would have just gone away. All of that worries me a lot, and I'm a geologist by education, so I know these minerals are not going anywhere. They'll still be there in 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 years unless we go out there and mow everything down and suck them up. And before we do that, we need to be really certain that this is the right thing to do, that this is cost effective, that it's effective to get us the resources that we need, and also that it's not having impacts on the people and the country that is doing this. And nobody is saying anything about that. No one's talking about it. No one's even acknowledging that that's a possibility. And that makes me very concerned. So I think before anything is agreed to, and where in this process that agreement would come in, I don't know. Or who agrees or anything, or maybe this is all, I won't go there. Anyway, before anything is agreed to, anything is set in stone, anyone soliciting bids for anything, who gets that money, who shoulders the environmental impacts down the road, what are those impacts, what will that look like, what possible cause and effect will that have on our beautiful island home here? So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ian. Next public comment will be from Ms. Layla Staffler.
Thank you. My name is Layla Havea Fleming Staffler. Oh boy, hold on. I need my notes. I strongly oppose this proposed activity for all of the reasons that have been stated already, especially considering the fact that deep sea mining has not even actually happened anywhere, any place yet. And I definitely do not want the Marianas to be the first for this kind of thing. I mean, yes, we want to be the first for a lot of things, but I don't think we should be racing to be the first for this. The environmental impacts that have been shared so far, which are also very limited in study, do not look promising for us. But the fact that the man who just spoke there about the fact that we might not even have a say is also super, super concerning to me. When you really think about the ocean and how it connects us, it's not something that's separated from us. And although politically and economically they've drawn these lines in the sand, that's not the way that our ancestors saw the world, and that's not how we should see the world. I feel like we are being asked to accept permanent environmental harm, cultural loss, and risks to our fisheries and ways of life in exchange for uncertain economic futures and benefits that don't even really look like they belong to us. And for what? Other people's wars? I do not support that. I think that we should not shoulder the burden for larger economies so that they can fuel their industrial complex growth and military complex activities. We should not be the testing ground for a novel experiment such as this. We should not sacrifice ourselves for global demand. Our ocean is not expendable, and we the people should not participate in this at the price of other countries. Thank you.
Thank you, Leila. The last person on our sign-up sheet for public comment is Frances Marie Sablon.
Hi, I'm a private citizen, care for this place so much, and I oppose this specific activity because let's be real, it's happening on federal land. Do you understand that? Federal. There is no economic guarantee that we're going to make money. All of these companies are going to come from the United States of America. The money is not going to flow in here, just like they said the money for the military buildup was going to, bring in the money for Tinian and the rest of us. Where's that money? We haven't seen anything. The government is broke. Our economy is based on tourism. That's our number one economic driver. They're going to do it to the east of us. The wind comes from that way. Everything they're going to do is going to come this way, regardless of whether the current shifts north or whatever. The wind pushes the water will make it here, and the trade winds is not going to matter because majority of our winds come from the northeast or the east directly, okay? Like, the United States is so far removed from us, and we have no say in anything, right? Section 9, the amount of money the United States gives to the territories does not equal the amount of money they magically lose in the military. It starts with a T, trillions. Trillions of dollars. And you cannot even give us territories enough to function, enough to actually enforce our laws and regulations. We don't do that across the board, and every government employee in here knows it because money is the biggest issue. This is not going to benefit us in any way. My job was to think long-term and so far into the future, and that's what I think about. Past us, past our great-great-grandchildren or whatever. The Marianas has been and will always be a special place because we have been consistently told what to do since before we even became our own country. So these are things to think about. We're still our own country. We just are in political union with the United States. Thank you.
Thank you. That was the last individual that signed up for public comment. I will now like to call up anyone else. Sorry, hold on. No, that's it. So I would like to open the floor for public comment. Please raise your hand if you wish to provide public comment. You first. Please state your name.
My name is Andrea Carr. I work for 500 Sails, and I will have to leave a little bit early tonight because we have a traditional navigation class. I am at 500 Sails because I've been in the water pretty much all my life. I've been fishing. I've been, right now with sailing, traditional navigation, practicing culture in a very deep and meaningful way. Not to make money, but just to, protect our culture that has been taken away from centuries and centuries ago. One of the things I really wanted to say, not only that I do oppose this, but I believe we do not have enough research or answers as to how this debris is going to travel towards our area. I recently went on a sail north, and I came back south. Just so that everybody knows, it took 17 days going north, and it took 31 days coming back south. The reason is because our currents in the North Equatorial Currents, yes, it's true, some of it hits Philippines, it hits, the coastline, the western coastline of Asia, and that's the reason why the currents end up going north. But where we are in the middle of the ocean, the currents definitely travel from east to west. So that means whatever is east of us is gonna come to us. And I think it's very plain and simple that we don't know what these little, whatever debris that they bring up to the surface are gonna flow our way. But it's very obvious if you go to any part of the east in Saipan, you're gonna see all the debris. I've seen very tiny particles of plastic, big stuff, everybody knows that. If you go to Tang Beach or anywhere on the east, you're gonna find all that debris. So that means, of course, these little particles are going to come our way, and how it's going to affect, our creatures of the sea and our food source. And I don't know, it's just so much that, for me, I would like to know more about how are they going to protect this debris from making sure that, and I don't think that's going to take a long time. So anyways, my complete opposition to this.
Thank you. I stand corrected. We do have two more that did sign up for public comment. I would like to go back to the list. Ms. Sheila Babauta.
Thank you. Thank you, Hafide Tiro, Casalelia Manco. Thank you, Governor's Office, for hosting this public meeting. It has been long awaited since we've heard of the RFI, since it's been issued in November. And I stand here representing Friends of the Mariana Trench. My name is Sheila Jack Babauta. I'm the chairwoman of a grassroots nonprofit organization that's been around for over 15 years, where we bridge the gap to offer spaces for our community and our youth to learn about traditional knowledge, ocean conservation, and scientific data. And we at the Friends of the Mariana Trench are deeply opposed to this RFI. We have made that very clear from the beginning, and I think that's one thing I would really like to encourage our elected leaders, our leaders who are in the government, our leaders who our community is looking to take a stance and share the reasons why you're opposed or the reasons why you are for this industry being near our shores. Our community needs the help and the support to understand this really major decision that is at our doorsteps. Since the announcement was made, many of our community members were not even aware that a comment period was open. We have been bombarded with comment periods for so long, for so many things. And on top of that unawareness of a comment period, learning about deep sea mining and this controversial topic is just another barrier to formulating your own public comment and submitting it online in the Federal Register. And so we at the Friends of the Mariana Trench, we have from the beginning created a resource document that has all these links to studies and articles. It has reasons why we are opposed. There have been over 40 nations around the world who have taken a stance of opposition in some form, whether that's a precautionary pause, an outright ban, or a moratorium on deep sea mining. And our brothers and sisters in the Pacific have led the way. Palau, Federated States of Micronesia, Fiji, there are so many. Because we in the Pacific understand our relationship to the Pacific Ocean. In addition to the resource document that is publicly available, we have a nonprofit sign-on letter. So if you're part of a nonprofit organization, please reach out to us. You can sign on to this letter just so that we can amplify our voice. And we're also supporting a scientific letter, if you're a scientist, that's being led by Tonu Tasis and Toru. And they're gathering local scientists for this letter to be submitted. We have been following the experience of American Samoa since their RFI was issued months before us. And what we have seen, right, was a complete opposition from their government leaders, from their community, from their nonprofit organizations. And that included their governor, lieutenant governor, their delegate, their Senate, their House of Representatives. 76,000 plus public comments were submitted on the Federal Register, and a petition with over 3,000 signatures opposing deep sea mining was also submitted. But BOEM proceeded in the process and actually expanded the area that was considered to be mined. So one of the questions that I have tonight is, what is the threshold that BOEM is looking at for there to be enough reason and justification to end the process? If that happened to American Samoa, then, and they still proceeded, then what is this process really about? Is it just a formality? Do they really care about hearing from the community? Because if we submit that many comments and get that much opposition, but they still move ahead, then really it's not free, prior, and informed consent. It's not meaningful engagement. And I think that's something that I would really encourage the governor's office to speak with BOEM about, so that we, the community, can really know what's the threshold we're looking at. Or are we just part of a process that we have no control over? And in closing, I just also want to share that as a descendant of the Mariana Islands, born and raised here on Saipan, we have been in relationship with the U.S. for about 50 years, right? The covenant agreement is coming up next year's anniversary for 50 years. But the Chamorro people, the Carolingian people, the Micronesian people have been in this region for thousands of years. And this relationship does not override any boundaries in the water. So just because people have said this is in the US EEZ, Exclusive Economic Zone, it doesn't mean that we just roll over and not do anything about it. Because even in the United States, on the continent, if an industry is being proposed near a community that is going to harm that community, they don't just roll over and give up. You know, we have to speak up and hold our governments accountable for their responsibility to keep us safe and healthy. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. We now go back to the open public comment. Once again, if you do want to provide public comment, raise your hand. The mic will come to you. State your name, please. Let us begin again. Anyone else would like to provide public comment?
Hi, I'm Bertha Camacho. I'm a private citizen. My background is health and wellness. And so I just had one question. We use the beaches for healing and therapy, and so I'm wondering if that would change the pH of the waters and eventually affect tourism.
Thank you, Bertha. Anyone else would like to make a public comment? Sabrina?
Floyd, can I just ask? We have a good number of people in the room. If you don't have any comments, you don't want to say something, but you just want to say yes or no, I'm opposed, I'm for this, just please stand up, say your name, and just say yes, I'm for this, no, I'm not for this. We want to record this and submit it to Bowen to show them that this number of people in our community came out and want to be engaged, want to learn more, like Mr. Joe back there, education. You know, the numbers speak. When we communicate with Bowen, we have a call with them in January, and we'll share this. Thanks, Floyd.
Thank you, Andrew. Please proceed.
Good evening and half a day, everyone. My name is Sabrina Shai Cruz, and I'm an environmentalist by trade and an islander by heart. I did not prepare any comments for tonight, but hearing everyone's voices, like Sheila said, I'd like to amplify mine. And as an employee of Division of Environmental Quality, I must remain unbiased to this proposal. And of course, at first hearing of it, immediately, like we hear of any other big project coming from the federal government, or businesses out there, we must address it accordingly, according to our authorities, according to what we are responsible for as public servants, and immediately we turn to the regulations. And it is not within our jurisdiction. So that just leaves a big question mark. What do we do? So the next thing, of course, for us to do is to turn to our federal partners. Environmental Protection Agency is our federal partner at DEQ, and then NOAA is a federal partner with DCRM. And so we turn to them, and the best advice that they've given us is to follow the process. And so now we're faced to have to do that. And that's really what is control. In reality, we never had control, and neither does the federal government. All of these policies and regulations and authorities are put in place so that there can be controls. But it's how we decide at the end to take a stand, to say something, and to take actions. And so I can at least say that what I plan to do is to follow the process. And as you can see on your handouts, I'm waiting for line item number 3, the environmental analysis. But that doesn't stop me from line item number 1 today, which is the RFI. This is our community's opportunity. This is the open door for us to speak up, ask questions, and get information so we can better be informed as the day arrives January 12th, for us to submit our comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Sabrina. Let me ask the question first, Joe. Any other public comments before I call on Joe again? Sir, please state your name right here.
Clay Scarda. And I just simply say that I think that there needs to be room for public comment after the studies have been done. That doing it now is like, I don't know what I'm commenting about. I don't know what the environmental impacts are. There ought to be environmental impact studies done. That information should be made available to the public, and then we should be able to state our opinions at that point.
Thank you, sir. All right, I would like to call on the next public comment. Joe had his hand up twice.
I have a couple things. One is a nonverbal suggestion, but I have to make it verbally, that if you'd like to see some piece of artwork that I did using used materials like my son's sheets and pillowcases and blankets and ties, go to the second floor of the BOECQ. Is that it? Third floor. Somebody's seen it. It's pretty big, and it was done during the year of the coral reef with the CNMI as the center of it, and all the major coral reefs around the world surrounding it. And it was a lot of fun. It's a non-verbal look, an artistic look at what the coral reefs, how important they are to our world. Secondly, I just got this today. This is my final proof for a book of poetry, and I'd like to read real quickly a couple poems that I wrote, excerpts from them. This is one from 2013 called Earth Days Before We Were Born. And I was reminded of it because after a trial in New York City in 2024, former POTUS 45 kept repeating for days to the TV cameras and at his rallies, "Drill, baby, drill," and "Drill, drill, drill." So my poem that I'd written several years before that was Earth Days Before We Were Born. I did not see all the thoughtless events that led up to the moment where we are, but using everyday common sense, we don't need to look back very far. Maybe 100 years before our parents were born, we began serious pollution of the water and sky as further and further from the earth we were torn. Very few of us stopped to pause and wonder why. I did not hear of the tragic, poisonous, man-made events that slowly diminished the quality of our life. Countries continue in a most dense manner on a daily basis, little disturbed by nature's strife. And a positive aspect. There is some light in the darkness, cleaner water in the bay, as more folks think and keep our earth clean every day. And another real quick one.
Joe, I need to stop you there.
Okay, fine.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We need to keep the meeting and the topic on focus. All right. Neil, I believe you raised your hand.
Sorry.
State your name, please.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Can everyone hear me? Okay, cool. My name is Nordino Taiskin. I'm with the grassroots nonprofit organization, Friends of the Mariana Trench, but I'm making this comment in my personal capacity because I was born and raised here in the CNMI, and I've watched things grow around me, and I decided to embrace that and grow with it. And I can feel all the emotions in the room. It makes me emotional too. I'm also trying to represent the youth in the CNMI, as well as speaking up for the elderly in the community. There's just so much information that was presented on that board that is very likely going to pass the heads of all our community members. And as you can see, a lot of our members present today are professionals in the environmental background, are AGs. And so you could see that the involvement of the community isn't necessarily 100% here. And it's disheartening. And the biggest challenge that we're ever gonna face as a community is being able to understand all those information, all those scientific terminology, those jargons, for our people to be able to formulate these comments. It's a big challenge for our community because what can we say? And we're oral speakers ever since the beginning of time, is being able to tell our stories. And so in terms of Friends of the Mariana Trench, we're trying to provide that opportunity for our community members to give those oral comments so we can transcribe it for them because they're afraid to get their voices heard and then submit it for them on their behalf. And I also want to point out so that it sort of gets the community members, that cogwheel moving, is that American Samoa was offered a 1% profit share out of the deep sea mining. And I'm slowly formulating my document, but it's not a benefit. It is an empty gesture. Profit is easily manipulated, and the CNMI has learned from painful experiences that promised economic benefits often never materialize, which has been expressed tonight. We have lived through it. The rise and collapse of the garment factory industry. My grandmother was one of those workers, and when that was done, she had no occupation, which left workers displaced. And the IPI casino disaster, which destroyed sacred areas and did not deliver lasting economic benefit. We cannot repeat these mistakes and an even more dangerous scale. Real benefits would require revenue sharing, training scholarships that benefit the community and employment pipelines, investment in local science and workforce capacity, which I don't hear as a benefit, and funds for environmental restoration and damage, these mitigations, these plans. I'm not hearing any of that. And there's only one investor that I've ever seen in public making these proposals. No other investors. All these other investors that come after that, what exactly do they plan to do? And how can we work around that? What's the benefit of our people? They're saying that they're going to do all these activities, but we have no benefit for it. If these are valuable materials, why would we want to give it away? These are valuable resources. These are our roots. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Please raise your hand if you would like to provide public comment. Anyone else? State your name.
Hi, my name is Hinara Sasimoto. I'm excuse me, private citizen, but
Start the clock when she starts talking.
yes, I'm sorry. I am a PSS employee, but first and foremost an educator. I'm just shocked that I heard this through an acquaintance, and we're not involving our youth. So right now, I'm saying no to this because there's not enough information. We should get our schools involved. They always want us to do PBL, project-based learning. This should be something that we should be researching. Our future students and kids should be involved. They should learn it themselves. Because in the end, they're the ones who have to deal with the repercussions that we have to decide. And we have to start teaching them to speak out, because for me it is hard to speak in public. But I'm doing this because I love our island. I was born and raised. Whatever I do is for this island and for the future. So, information and knowledge is power, and I want to instill that in our future kids, and to speak out and to be bold, because this is a serious matter, and I don't like that this is the second time that there was a town hall. There's no Zoom links, there's no, because our island has more than this in our population. And we have to also encourage native-borns to come back to the island and to protect it. Why should we come back if you're deciding to just give it up? We have to try and defend it, protect it. And also just to inspire, our new generation to become active and also become scientists in our world, you know, just so we can protect our land and, you know, the fish and wildlife, because the ocean is huge. We're such a little island, but we need to make a big impact. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, sir. The gentleman in the back.
Hello, Hafiz and Tiro, everyone. I just want to, I am Alexander Tudela. I work for the Friends of the Mariana Trench, but I will be speaking in my own personal capacity as an Indigenous youth from the CNMI. I just wanted to comment on the process for the federal government. You know, how often is it that we always get these opportunities to comment, but then the process is still the same? We get a 30-day notification of this proposal. We don't have enough time to review it. We ask for 120 days, we're given 30. Where's the consideration and the respect that we value as in our culture, in our community? In the RFI, the request for information, BOEM wants us to be specific and detailed in our comments so that they can understand where we're coming from, but that's never reciprocated because they don't offer the same courtesy when it comes to trying to hear our people out. American Samoa submitted 70-some thousand comments, and I believe only 1,000 were considered. Where's the transparency that they want to give to the community, but they never show it through their actions? The process is always the same. And like my friend Neil said, there was an investor who did make a comment on what they wanted to do in our community for the mining and their proposal, but then there are so many other investors that these blocks in the RFI area are going to be leased off to, and we don't know what they're going to propose or do. So what are those impacts? And I wanted to also echo what someone else said about, sorry, I'm losing my chain of thought, but they're opening up these blocks for investors and mining companies, and we just don't know what they're going to do. And so they have to be respectful and courteous enough to give us time to comment on that as well, enough time to engage with us. But yeah, are we really willing to gamble our ancestor, our resources, our unique ecosystems for unknown effects that could potentially impact us, for investors or mining companies that aren't even invested in our community or our people? Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have a public comment right here. Bill?
Hi, my name is Bill. I'm going to speak as a private citizen capacity. Number one, I find it very, very telling that the one entity that can pretty much answer everyone's question in this room, every question that was brought up, every confusion, every sort of like hesitation, it can be answered with one entity. That entity is not here. The most they provided was a 5-minute presentation on a big screen, and that's it. Number two, they also provided this leaflet. It doesn't help at all. We don't know what the environmental impact is going to be. We've heard from Henry how, you know, the plumes, they rate come up, come down. We've heard from people telling stories about like whales, about like birds flying around in that pristine environment. None of this is being addressed here. None of the sort of consequences of this mining is being shown here. We are just given a little booklet of like what we're gonna do, how we're gonna do it. Please provide a comment. But what are we commenting on if we don't know what we don't know? That pretty much tells us how they think of us to a certain degree. And then finally, this whole sort of reasoning for this is for defense, for, you know, strengthening our defense. But who are we defending from? Like, Saipan is a very peaceful little nation, little island in the middle of the Pacific. To what is there for us to be defended? Like, who's the boogeyman now? We have military built up on Tinian, and that's for defense. We now have this mining that's going on in Mariana Trench, that's also for defense. But never once did they say, oh, we're defending you from blah, 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 or like, oh, this is to strengthen our national security, but where is this threat coming from? And so all of these we should all think about and just ask them, like, why aren't you giving us the information? Why aren't you showing up here? Everyone here is from the Marianas. We all are concerned about this little island that we live on. And yet, you who are going to be doing this didn't even bother to show up. You're not even going to come to our island until after we put in our comment. That shows us more about you and how you care about this island than we ever will. So, thank you.
Thank you, Bill. We currently have a little bit over 30 minutes left for this meeting. Next public comment, please state your name.
Hi, my name is Eve, and I also work for the Division of Fish and Wildlife. You heard from my boss earlier, Henry. I'm the current Avian Monitoring Program Manager for the CNMI, which means that I manage the research projects on birds mostly, which does include our forest birds and seabirds, water birds, and shorebirds. So I could go a lot of different directions with this. I just wanted to circle back to what we started talking about at the beginning, which is potential threats to wildlife. And a lot of this is speculative. There's so much we don't know about the environmental impacts, as everyone's kind of touched on. I know that we brought up the idea of the sediment plumes and that kind of thing, but there's many, many other threats that we know affect the species of seabirds specifically that we have in the CNMI. Some of those include increased vessel traffic, light pollution, noise pollution, especially at night. We have one nocturnal migratory seabird species that lives here. We do not know a lot about the impacts that this could happen on that species. The rest of our seabirds are all residents. They're all very long-lived. There's been very few research projects on these species on the there's been few research studies on the populations of those species here. A lot of those species are present in other places, and we can pull on that research. But I just want to bring up that from a professional research standpoint, conducting a lot of these, even pilot studies, would take a very long time, especially for seabirds. Some of those projects take decades to even figure out which parts of the ocean they're using, because it can be different with different populations. And so, yeah, what concerns me is that we don't really have enough time, and it takes a lot to get some of these studies started and to actually start to analyze the results, and it's a lot of effort. And Henry mentioned that seabirds are nutrient cyclers, but I just want to mention that point again. We know that seabirds are the only living creatures on Earth that really master the sky, the sea, and the land. And there's been many studies in other locations where if you take seabirds away from an island, the coral population and the coral health decreases. The native tree species germination decreases. Fish populations decrease, fish size decreases, many other things. And this is a big process, a big whole ecosystem process that's very complicated and takes a long time to get published and to get researched. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Blanc.
My name is Remy Sablan. I'm 74 years old. I was born here in Saipan, raised here in Saipan. And I'm here tonight to listen to the different views, different studies, because this is very new. This is the first time I've heard about mining, seabed mining. But for me, I do not recommend that we close our door completely. But I would like to recommend our leaders, if they can do it between Northern Marianas and Guam, to put a moratorium for 5 years. Give us another 5 years to do more study, and the benefits that we're gonna receive, the 120 days is not enough. And I like to urge our leaders from today to try their best and see if they can come up with a 5-year moratorium. And I hope the federal will allow that. That would give us more time. But for now, myself, I don't recommend that we close our doors completely. We should be given more time. Too bad my husband is not here at this moment. He passed away, but he was a diver here in the Marianas. He's a fisherman, and he has more knowledge about what is really under the sea. I mean, you know, I hope our local people who have been diving and do a lot of exploration down there to come up and speak up. Tell us, what do they see down there? The study on surface by the book is not enough. We need to hear from people who does the study under the sea. That's what we want to hear. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucille. Any other public comments? We have one right here. Please state your name.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tanyelo Liuta. I'm a private citizen, a student. I was born and raised here, but I'm also a veteran as well. So I left home and then came back after 13 years, and part of that reason is to, come back and serve the island, serve our people, and just support these kinds of things. And ultimately, I came back just for peace. For a lot of us that have moved back from the States, I'm speaking for the veteran community, we come back here and we move back here because, this is our home, and we want to reconnect with those roots and experience that peace of mind. And, this proposal, I'm not an expert or anything like that, so I don't have too much information to say what I think right now, but I definitely agree with everyone's concerns that we need more time. I also think we should be publicizing these kinds of meetings a lot more. I love the turnout that we have here, but I wish it was more than just the professional community that deals with the environmental issues. I know we have a lot of citizens here that love our home and would love to make their opinions known here as well. But the communication, I feel like there's a disconnect, so they don't have the opportunity to make their concerns be heard. So I would love to see more communication with our people, just so that way we can reach out to those of us that would love to be here right now, but just for the simple fact that, they didn't hear it ahead of time. I literally just heard about this today, so I came in here like in my gym clothes because I'm like, oh man, it's, right at 5 o'clock. But I wanted to make sure, that I showed up here. But thank you guys for hosting this, and yeah, that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Kalani?
Test. Hafre, Tiro,
Hello, everybody. Good evening. All my various coworkers, my former teacher, and family members and loved ones in the room. Sorry, my sister. I'm one of those people as well who returned to the island. I moved back 3 years ago, born and raised here, public school educated, super nerd. So people who know me, who work with me, know that I'm all about the ocean, all about supporting our fishermen, supporting our local economy. I come from a water sports family. I come from a fishing family, a farming family. There's a lot to be said for the people that are not here in the room. Cecilio might be one of the folks here and a couple others who are bottom fishermen, who actually are experienced with fishing that deep and, who are used to traversing the sea all the way up north, all the way down south, and all throughout Micronesia. So I really think that that should be a lot more of the demographic in the room, because Dispensa, I forgot to say that I'm the coral reef restoration coordinator here, but I'm speaking as a private citizen right now. So one of the things that I noticed that hasn't really been brought up very much is, but Henry and Eve both alluded to it, is the nutrient cycling. That's something that I'm familiar with because I studied bacteria at the Scripps Institution of Oceanography in 2012, thanks to the recommendation of then director Fran Castro from DCRM. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Connolly. And while I was there and we were studying, I was studying surface bacteria, the lab next to me was studying deep sea bacteria. And during that time, a lot was unknown, and a lot is still unknown. Like a lot of people have said, this is new technology. We do not know yet, nor do they say that there's going to be a profit. Some of it might be that they will lose money going there, doing exploratory studies, trying to use AI or whatever they might use to bring things up, and the plumes and all the destruction it will cause, even just to do the exploratory studies. The carbon cycle, which includes the exchange of nutrients, of carbon between the air and the water and the deep sea, it's something that is not really studied out here in the Pacific, definitely not in our part of the Pacific. And that is one of for a lot of other Pacific peoples, such as the Kanaki and New Caledonia, they consider the deep sea the final resting place. Because it's the final resting place. A lot of our carbon that we use and we take from our cars and our airplanes and whatever else we use gets stored in the ocean by this cycle, by the marine bacteria, by the seabirds, by the, all the different ways, and it gets locked up in the very bottom of the ocean. Doing deep sea mining will bring those plumes back up. Our ocean is the lungs of the earth. So you're bringing back up things that have been locked down for question marks. They don't know yet. Nobody knows yet. And so for me, although there's a lot to be said for the cultural, the social, the economics, I urge our leaders to not make a decision or to not make any kind of, whether we even have a say, to not be hasty, to think about the implications of future generations and not just our current situation economically. Because I came back to the island to do my part and give back. And whether there is an economy or not really does not matter to me as much as whether I still have an ocean, whether my kids or my nieces and my nephews will have a place here, whether they will be able to fish, whether they won't get toxic poisoning from fishing, whether they can eat tuna, whether they can make a living doing something they love and living back on their home islands. I really hope for that. And so thank you, Office of the Governor, BCQ, all the folks that went in to create this. And I just wanted to be really corny and end by reciting something that we always recited in the public school system here. And that always made me very comfortable whenever I was off island. And that's the Prinimeti. And so nobody needs to recite it with me, and I'm so sorry, Juanette, I'm going over my time, but I'm just gonna say it. Prinimeti, manhula zufiet gi papai banderahu noti Marianas na bai hutsogui todu inina sinyahu para bai huprotehi zan defendi I hinengi, I kultura, I lenguahi, I airi, I hanum zanitanu ni iren shokku diretsu ginena zuustata para toru hinarashon, chamorro, jan falawash, pagu, jan para toru I tempu. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Kalani. Rita, I saw your hand raised.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rita Chong, and I'm here as a private citizen. I am a little bit embarrassed to say that I really just found out about this subject fairly recently. But the question that comes to my mind is, this is going to be, I'm assuming there's going to be a project, right? And it's going to be subjected to federal consistency reviews throughout the different agencies. What I'm curious about is, are we prepared with the technical expertise required to review this when it comes in? Let's not repeat what happened between us and the military back in early 2010s when they came in and with their, I forget if it was 1,000-page environmental impact review statement or study. And most of the agencies were not equipped technically to review that study. So if we don't have the technical expertise, is the federal government willing to give us access to resources so that the CNMI can bring in those technical experts to help us with a review? Because if we don't, we've already lost the game. And it's going to be just us, the little islands in the Pacific versus Goliath, and it's going to be a losing game. So that's just what I'm curious about is, are we having that conversation among the agencies already? Let's look at our capabilities and, realistically. And let's identify the gaps and then come back to BOEM and say, you want to do this here and you want us to review it. This is not a project that comes to our tables for review regularly or even seldomly. So that's my biggest concern is, can we really, really effectively review this? And so that we can stand up and really be vocal about what we want as a people of the CNMI. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. We are about to end our meeting. We have time for one more public comment. Anyone else would like to provide public comment? Please state your name. This will be the last public comment.
Thank you, Director Mosca. Good evening, Palatoro Sanzo. Nano Siluala Ichihara Mashano. I am the Resident Executive for Indigenous Affairs Office. My capacity here is to say no, and of course to support all our culture practitioners, our seafarers, and our cultura for both Carolinian and Chamorro, or Chamorro and Carolinian. Sus Masi, noong sangin ni Perminetti, that just hit the bottom. My question here is, kogaha orata, for us to even translate and ask our elders what's happening. Did we even inform them? As our culture, I'm glad Auntie Remy's here, but I think I'm the youngest manamko here in this audience, but we always look towards our manamko, and we always ask advice. I thank the governor for creating this town hall, but we really need to educate. That's the reason why we don't have our manamko, we don't have our young Pinoñe Mestra, our school, our young kids that are coming up. So even my husband is a fisherman. My grandfather also sailed from outer island of Chuuk up to here in the Marianas, up to the Asian area and back. This was our trading area, and we want to protect that. And if this happens, what is the impact? You know, we heard already all the currents, how it comes down. We're even questioning the fact that we have a high rate of cancer in our community, and still we don't talk about that too. Maybe we have, but we haven't covered it. It's the same thing. Our trade winds comes down, trade wind goes up, but we're very concerned, and we need to educate and also bring in our manamko. So they are our elders, and then we also have to bring in our younger generation. So please, por favor, if you guys are doing this per village, let's bring it on. So we still need a lot of people in here. We're more than a community. If we can raise up and go against the federal government from bombing our northern islands, we can also make sure that we protect our resources. At the end of the day, or when we die, our kids will end up with whatever. One thing I would like to comment is, I remember when COVID happened, a lot of us weren't allowed at the beach. But when we came back to the beach area, I love the fact that we had turtles coming in, a lot of dolphins were coming in, and even stingray were coming in. Those are things that we hardly see when we were always out in the beach with our coconut oil, or our sunscreen. But with this is a major thing that we need more information. So yes, I agree with you. We can't comment if we don't understand. So please, por favor, leaders, we need representation on the table with our federal partners. Sus Masi.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I called the last comment already. Give it to her. One more, please. That's it.
This is a common statement.
Can you state your name?
Oh, sorry. Dora Taitinfo. There's only two things with the sea mining. There's advantages and disadvantages. 3 advantage may be a discovery of valuable natural resources. 2 is not as disruptive as the land management, land mining. 3, it could be economic benefits. But the disadvantage outweighs more. Simply put, it disrupts the natural resources. Once you destroy it, you cannot bring it back. It's just like cancer. You touch it, it spreads. And you know what the saying goes, right? You teach a man to fish, it's fishing for life, and that is our life. We may not be the owners of the ocean, although we want to be the owners, but we are the protectors. My statement I disagree. No matter how you put it, you destroy it, it's never going to be the same. Not just for us, but our future generation. No amount of studies can be done. You touch it, it's gone. You cannot bring it back. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Before we end, I would like to call up Mr. Henry Hofschneider, our Chief of Staff, on behalf of the Office of the Governor, to give a few closing remarks.
Thank you, Floyd. With me is Sylvain Sommer. He's the Secretary of the Department of Lands and Natural Resources. He's working with us on this. We're communicating with the BOEM folks on a monthly basis. We get monthly call-ins. On behalf of Governor David Apatang Giliso Susmasi, thank you for coming out. We heard a lot of good comments, great comments actually, and we recorded all of those comments. We're going to submit them to BOEM however we can, maybe in a recording or transcription, but we will submit all of them to BOEM. Governor Apatang wants to continue the town hall meetings. We're going to be having one more in Saipan. We're going to be having one in Tinian and Rota as well. Ms. Marciano, right? If you can reach out to the Manomcos, let them know that we'll have another town hall meeting so they can come here. This is, I think, the largest venue that we have to bring everybody in. And they can speak in vernacular. It doesn't matter. We'll have somebody translate them. And for those of you that showed up, come back again, please. We'll try and get our town hall meetings in Tinian and Rota live if we can. I know we were going to have it here, but our internet connection is kind of spotty, so bad. Yeah, we're going to work on that. It's a matter of budget. Which one? Or live. Just Mossy for that. Thank you. All right, so that's it. Again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Henry. Again, thank you all, and I would like to thank the Department of Lands and Natural Resources, Fish and Wildlife, for their staff coming out, as well as the DEQ and CRM staff for the coordination and setup, and for the multi-purpose center, the staff. Thank you, Dan, for all your help and sitting with us this whole entire evening. Again, before I forget, Merry Christmas.